Roger, for having us. Thank you, President Jeff. We're really excited to be here and tell you about all of the great things that are happening with Meeting Waters YMCA. My name is Stacy Garciadealba. I understand why that was hard to say. And yes, I am a volunteer on the board of directors, but I also was a site director for 6 years at the Bellows Falls Y Aspire program. I'm inviting you to join in a little exercise with me, and I hope you participate. Don't worry, you don't have to get up. But I'd like all of you to close your eyes for just 30 seconds at the most, probably. And I just want you to take a deep breath in through the nose, let it out through the mouth. As I would say to my kids, smell the flowers, blow out the candles. One more. And everybody, you can open up your eyes. And thank you for participating. So the reason why I wanted you to do that is because that was one of the exercises that I would do on a pretty regular basis when I ran the Y Aspire program in Bellows Falls. And Aspire stands for After School Program for Inspiration, Recreation, and Education. And that's exactly what the program does. On your tables, you should have a handout, brightly colored. If you go to the very last page, you'll see a little bit about what happens at our Y Aspire programs. Every day we have physical activity, food, which is a healthy snack, beverages, which includes water. There's no screen time, and we also focus on parent engagement. And the reason why I wanted to start at the back of this and talk about Y Aspire is because that's really how I became involved with the Y. And I want to share with you about my story, but then I also want to talk to you about the impact that Meeting Waters YMCA is having on the 27 communities in Vermont and New Hampshire that we serve. I first began actually in Chester. At that program, I was the program assistant, so not the site director, and I would assist in all the activities that you see on that last page. And I really enjoyed it. It coincided with my education at the time. I was working full-time and also going to school. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, but knew that I liked working with children and families. So this seemed like an obvious fit. I enjoyed my time at Chester, but within a few months, Sue, our program director, came to me and said, "How about subbing in Bellows Falls for a little bit?" And I said, "Sure, like why not? Let's try it." So I did, and she said that I'd be filling in as the site director. And I said, okay, I'm up for a challenge. It goes with my education. And what happened is I started that journey, and then I didn't leave for 6 years. I fell in love with the program. I fell in love with the children and families that I was working with. At one point during my time there, 98% of the children were on 100% subsidy, which means that they were going to our program based on that. They were receiving free lunch at school, and their parents were having a hard time making ends meet. And I realized that that was the community that I wanted to be helping, and that Y Aspire helped do that. During that time, 2 of the kiddos that I had actually, their mom ended up going to jail. And Y Aspire was one of the only things that was consistent in their life. And I'm still in contact with those 2 kiddos and with their mom. They reach out to our program anytime that they need us. Those kiddos actually are with us year-round, attending Y Aspire, and then they also go to our Y Day Camp in the summer. There's some pictures of that on the front. You can see the bus. And even though my primary role was in Bellows Falls, we also were serving a lot of other communities. As you know, we have 3 Y Aspire sites in Brattleboro, which Bethany will be talking about. I'm really excited to hear more about it. And then our Y Day Camp is in Springfield, so we're covering Windham and Windsor County. And these kids have that opportunity to go year-round. I also was able to be an activity leader for Y Day Camp one summer. That was an excellent opportunity to kind of try something new outside of Y Aspire, and I really enjoyed it. Then in 2015, I also had the opportunity to go to the country of Georgia. I was chosen as 1 out of 6 United States representatives to go and talk about peace and conflict resolution. There were several other countries, and we all met there in Georgia, and we talked about leadership, how to better develop our programs, and we focused on peace and conflict resolution. So that was an amazing opportunity that I had with the Y, and it truly has impacted my life. About a year ago, I made the decision to move over into more of a different full-time position for the state of Vermont. So I actually work for DCF Family Services, and I've been doing that for about 3, almost 4 years now. One of the things that I've seen in that role in my life is the great need that we have in the community to help these children and these families. I think it's on the second page. It may not be. So if you see the second page, it talks about what we do in red at the bottom. We strengthen the foundation of communities in the Brattleboro, Bellows Falls, Springfield, and Fall Mountain regions by fostering youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. Right now in my Springfield district, wearing my state hat, we have over 100 children in state custody. Down here in the Brattleboro area, we have over 180. I can't think of a better time where we need these programs for youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. So I was really excited when the board approached me and they asked me to put on another hat for Meeting Waters YMCA and become a volunteer for their board of directors. Clearly the Y has had a huge impact on me, but I also see what a difference that it's making in all of our communities. So I really encourage you to come and talk with me or Steve or another member to find out more about what you can do. You don't have to just work for us, you don't necessarily have to be on the board, but there's many other ways that you can be a part of this really great happening in southern Vermont, New Hampshire. So I thank you for your time, and I really hope that I'm able to speak with you after. And now I'll let Bethany talk a little bit about what she's doing in Brattleboro.
Thank you. Hi. So I'm Bethany Ranquist, and I am the site director at the Academy School in West Brattleboro for Y Aspire. But I actually didn't start out working for Y Aspire. I started out as a parent. My daughter, who is 9, started in the Y Aspire program 2 years ago at Academy School while I was working full-time, and last year my son, who started kindergarten and is now 7 in 1st grade, started in the Y Aspire program also. So my experience started a little bit differently from just looking for employment. I started out saying, well, if I'm working full-time as a single parent, I really need somebody to watch my kids when they get out of school, so I'm just going to sign them up for this after-school program. Didn't really know very much about it. I just knew it was an after-school program, and so my kids would go from their classroom to there, and they would be, fully safe and have fun. So over the course of 2 years as a Y Aspire parent, I was just completely blown away by the experience that my children had at this. First of all, because at its minimum, I knew that my kids would go from their classroom during the day to the gym where the kids meet for the program, and then to their classroom that they stay in for the afternoon, and I knew that they would be safe and well cared for. And as a parent who's working, that's the first thing, is I want to know my kids are safe until I can get to them and pick them up. For me, something that's really important too, though, is that I know that my kids are enjoyed by the people that are with them, and I never had a question about whether my children were enjoyed at Y Aspire. They were known. They had adults in their life outside of myself and our family who were strong role models and strong figures for them to turn to and ask questions of. And a number of times my daughter, who was trying to figure out social situations in her classroom, would talk to Shelly and Tish, who were the staff at the Y Aspire program, about those questions that she had that she didn't ask me, and then they would tell me and we could further that conversation. I knew all the time that they were engaged, they were healthy, they were safe, they were so well cared for, and so I really valued the program. And so over this past summer, I was transitioning in my work experience, and I was looking for a job, and heard that Shelly and Tish, who were the very long-term Y Aspire staff at Academy School, were no longer going to be there. They were moving on into new positions. And actually, Shelly, just as a little side note, was the Y Aspire staff in her first year as the Y Aspire site director. She had my niece, who is now 25 years old, when she was in 5th and 6th grade at Academy School. And so when my kids were there, it was really fun for my niece to say, I know Shelly, she was my Aspire person too. And Shelley, fully remembered my niece and, was really excited to hear what she was up to these days. So when I was looking for a position, I heard that there was an opening and I knew that they were leaving, and so I contacted Sue Fortier, who's our program director, and I said, I heard that there's maybe a position at Y Aspire, can I talk to you about it? And so I went in to talk to her, and it was the longest interview of my entire life. We sat for 4 hours. When I left the interview, I had turned my phone off because I wanted to be impressive and not, having my phone buzz while we were in it. And I left the interview, and it was about 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night, and I had a couple of frantic phone calls from my mother and my kid's father saying, where are you, and why aren't you calling? Your interview was at 4. But the reason that it lasted so long is that I was so blown away to hear how intentional this program was that my kids had been in. And I had always known how important it was for me and my family, but hearing about what Meeting Waters YMCA does in the community, whether it's the Y Aspire program or any of the other programs that they run, specifically I'm talking about this because it's my experience, I was so blown away. And sharing what I had been through as a parent and how much I valued the program, and talking to Sue about that, but then hearing how intentional it is that my kids were getting at least 30 minutes of movement and activity every single day, and how important that was to the program, not just